Max Bernier. He's the leader of the People's Party of Canada. We're going to talk about gun laws, a moratorium on immigration, I don't know, free speech, personal responsibility. He's suing Warren Kinsella as well. That's pretty awesome, actually. I had Warren on my show, and he was a little irritated, and then he blocked me on Twitter. Now, all my Twitter accounts are gone now, so it's not a big deal. We're still friends on Facebook. Max, thank you very much, my brother. I appreciate your time. I know you're really busy. We've gone through the history of the People's Party of Canada, how you got to where we are. So I don't feel like we need to do too much in the personal. By the way, your last interview with Free is his name?
David Viva Free.
What great! It was a great interview, man. I really appreciated it. You know, I've talked to you a few times, but I love those long form interviews, man. So that was great. I mean, I'm a big fan of his, anyways. First time I found out or I heard about him was in. I think he was doing the Save Smooshy thing with Phil Demers, the guy, the Marineland activist. Anyways, how you feeling these days in lockdown?
Great. You know, I'm a little bit tired, like a lot of Canadians, about these lockdowns. It must end, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think more and more people understand that it's against our constitution. It's violated our rights and freedoms, and also, you know, it is not doing anything for our health. On the contrary, it is not helping Canadians. We need to be out there. We need our schools to be reopened, our churches to be reopened, our businesses to be reopened, our life to be back. And I think it will happen soon. I hope so.
Tell us what this moratorium on immigration looks like. It sounds kind of scary, I think, to the Liberals or the left-leaning that think, well, immigration is the only way we grow the economy and grow our talent base. Talk to us about what you're talking about, shutting down immigration until we're, until our employment situation is at least better. But what's your idea of a moratorium look like?
Yeah, just before Jim speaking about that, I just want to go back a little bit with the policy that we had at the last general election. You know, we don't believe in mass immigration. We believe that this country is a great country, and every person that wants to come to this country, they're welcome if they share our values. And I think, you know, it's normal to ask that. So that being said, as you know, the Trudeau government right now, they believe in a politics of mass immigration. That's their policy. And we said during the last campaign, we just want to have between 100,000 and 150,000 newcomers every year instead of 350,000. That is the goal of the Liberal Party of Canada. So that being said, that was our position. But after that, we have the recession. The unemployment rate was going up. So the unemployment rate was going up. And I said that we must have a moratorium until that situation will be better for Canadians, because our goal is to help Canadians first, to work for this country first. And I said we need to have a moratorium. So what we will do at the next general election, we will look at the unemployment rate and the economy here in this country, and we'll decide if we keep the moratorium or if we have the same policy that we had, a maximum of 150 newcomers in this country. And the big majority of these people must be economic immigrants. When I'm saying economic immigrants, it's a person that will come here because they have a job, because an entrepreneur was not able to find Canadians for that job, and he looked in other countries and he found a person. So we want to have people that will come here, will have a job. It will be easier for that person to integrate our society, and that person will participate in our social life right now. So they will participate in the economy instead of having a lot of family reunification. That's what the Trudeau government believes in, family reunification. So, you know, you can ask your grandmom and grandpa to come here, your brother and your sister, and they won't have a job. They will come in Canada because yourself, you are in Canada. But, we want people who will help to build this country. And there's always a cost when you have more people coming on the family reunification, a cost for the society. So, and Trudeau is doing that to absolutely, we must say that, to buy votes. In some ridings in Canada, there's a lot of new immigrants there, and they want to see their family. And so he is answering to that request. And that's why he increased the family reunification by, I don't remember the numbers, but I think it was 50,000 people a year or something like that. Right. I'm not so sure on the number right now. But he more than doubled the family reunification people coming under that rubric, if you compare that with what we had when I was in government with Stephen Harper. So that's our position on the immigration. And you're right to say that right now, because the unemployment rate is still high, we want to have a moratorium on immigration.
How do you, I've been called many things since I became moderate. Moderate is now radical somehow. I was a lefty. But before the lefty went completely berserk, the left used to stand for free speech, for peace, for anti-war, all kinds of great things. I mean, my first election was 1993. I was 24 years old. What an experience. And I've run 10 times since. I never thought I'd run again, but you've given me hope. But I get called, like everything. And you must be wearing the same thing. I want to know how you combat the xenophobic, bigot, labels that you get. And where does it come from? You figure it's like, I know mainstream media isn't covering you hardly at all, forget fairly. But where does it come from, and how do you stand up against it? Like, how do you combat that? Because once the word gets out, I mean, we saw it with Proud Boys. Oh, it's a drinking group. You know what I mean? They started out by giving security details to conservative speakers at universities because they were unsafe. Suddenly now, they're lumped in with the Tiki Torch guys and Charlottesville. And so I just want to know how you stand against that kind of stuff.
Well, you stand by telling the truth, by telling to people who you are. And I believe at the end, the truth will always prevail. And yes, it's a tough time right now. It's a tough time for policies based on facts, like what we are doing at the PPC. I had a word of encouragement from the former leader of the Reform Party of Canada, Preston Manning, after the last election. And maybe you know that story. Preston called me because, yes, the mainstream media and the Conservative Party of Canada and Kinsella did everything to discredit the PPC. And Kinsella was saying that I was a racist, a Nazi. And so I'm suing him personally. I'll be in court in Toronto this June. It has been postponed because of the COVID-19 crisis, and I will win that case. But just to go back after the election, I had a call from Preston, and he said, Maxime, it's too bad what they did to you. I know that it's not true, but they did the same thing with me when I created the Reform Party in the 1990s. Really? And my first election was the worst one. I was fighting against people who were saying that I was a racist. Yeah. But at the second election, they tried to do that, but they were not successful because it was not true. And I'm pretty sure that the next election, they won't be able to say that again, because you are proving by your day-to-day actions that you're not and you've never been a racist. So it won't hurt like it did for the first election. And I strongly believe that they don't have any proof, and that's why for me it is important to sue Kinsella and having my reputation back. And I'm pretty sure, Jim, that when I'll be in court and the mainstream media will cover that. I'm pretty sure because they are calling the head office right now. They want to know the date of our hearing. So they'll be there and they will cover that because at the end, we how that happened because Kinsella signed a contract with the Conservative Party of Canada. So, and as you know, the mainstream media are mostly liberal. So they will follow that just to hurt the conservatives, and the truth will be public. So it was a tough time, but I believe that the future will be way better.
I almost feel like I wish you'd change your mind on getting an activist pit bull like Kinsella, because politics is a dirty game. I mean, I don't need to tell you, it's a filthy, dirty game. And you need a guy to get down in the mud in the war room and fight dirty like the other guys do? Or do you think that holding your principles and being above that is going to pay off in the end?
I believe being above that. People are tired of traditional establishment politicians. And, when you're telling the truth and who you are, I think they appreciate that. And they appreciate the fact that we don't try to pander to every special interest group. And I'm always saying to my team and people who are helping us and working for us at the PPC, at the head office, what you're doing right now, it's like working in an office with a glass wall around you. So everything that you're doing right now, have in mind that it can be in the front page of the Global Mail. And if you're not able to defend that and to argue against what you're doing, forget it, don't do it. At the end, everybody knows everything about what you want to do. And the people who are with us share our philosophy, our principles, and we're not doing dirty politics. It's the old way to do politics, but maybe it can take more time to be successful, but I prefer that than and it's not my style. Sometimes some people are telling me, Maxime, you must be a little bit more aggressive. You must be a little bit, you're doing an interview, you're smiling, and you must be sometimes more aggressive. And I think sometimes I can express what I believe in with more strongly. And that's what I'm doing, that's what I try to do. I try to speak with passion and conviction and try to convince people that we have the best ideas for a more prosperous and free country.
I've described you as the only political leader that I can get behind right now, and the glasses I wear to see the world have changed over the last 5 years. I don't know if it's my age. I'm 52 now. I'm certainly not 24 like I was when I ran for the Green Party for the first time in 1993 against Gibby Parent. We're really going back. And Gib Parent was a great man. I mean, Terry St. Annam ran as the Conservatives, and we had some natural law floating on Rugg's party. But I've described you as the only political leader that I can get behind. Everything, I think you've got most of your policies nailed. I like the moratorium on immigration, is as radical as that sounds. I love your stand on free speech. I want to talk to you about how that you're affecting the universities, what you're doing there. I'm against transitioning children. I think I've got your support there. I'm anti-lockdown, anti-mask. I'm starting to call you, don't let this go to your head, but you're kind of like the Jordan Peterson of politics, because you're the only one that's talking about what is most important today in today's world, I think, personal responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility to feed you and to make sure that people don't hurt your feelings. So I love that. I love what you're doing with Kinsella, because, I wish I had a lawyer that I could call every time somebody called me a Nazi for defamation of libel or whatever, because it happens all the time. So I think that's a smart move. Radical decentralization. I'd like you to speak a little bit more about what that looks like, because it sounds all scary, but smaller government, even, man, I think I've come around on pipelines, for crying out loud. And a buddy of mine is in the ammonia fuel business, which is a winner. He's had a long, hard time getting it off the ground because big oil, right? It's a nasty business, but we can use our existing pipelines, and we have a certain amount of infrastructure for ammonia already. You can burn it with water vapor as the discharge, So talk to me a little bit about radical decentralization. I love the idea of decentralization. It's a Green Party policy where you allow the people closest to the problem the resources, money, and the power to fix that problem, because Ottawa doesn't know what's best for Streetsville or Ridgeway or Fort Erie or Niagara-on-the-Lake. And we have two levels of government here in the region. I think the Niagara region should be absolutely abolished. We don't need a bigger, further away, group of people that are passing laws for the small. Can we just go back to 12 counties, like 12 cities? So right now we have 12 plus the region, so that's 13 entities. I think that's how it goes. But talk to me about what the PPC's view of radical decentralization looks like, and what does it accomplish, Max?
Yeah, I think it's a concept that is very important, and you're right to say, the best government is a government that is near people. We call that the subsidiarity principle. That's why, and our constitution is based on that. If you look at our constitution, when you have to interact with your politician, usually it's at the provincial level. Your politician is in charge of daycare, healthcare, everything in your day-to-day life. Usually it's the provincial government, and the federal government in our constitution is in charge of inter-provincial things like transportation, international affairs, monetary policy, and so things that are more on the national and international part. So our constitution was based on that principle. The father of our constitutions wanted to give responsibilities, the most important responsibilities, at the provincial level. And so that's why, if you look at our constitution, that's the principle behind our constitution, at the foundation of our constitution. So yes, and I was saying that I was in Alberta when I delivered that speech, and it was really well received because that's an answer to the challenges that we have in this country. It's an answer for pipelines, being able to build pipelines. It's an answer for also the equalization formula that is unfair for people out west and also people in Quebec. And in Alberta, they want to have more autonomy at the provincial level. And I said, you can do it. You can be like Quebec. We had our own caisse de dépôt, pension fund. You can have your own police force. You can have more private delivery in healthcare, like we have in Quebec with some private clinics. So there's a lot of things. You can have your own income tax if you want, like Quebec. So my message to them was, first of all, if you want more autonomy, take what you have, what the Constitution is giving you, and for me at the federal level, I will work for being sure that every province is able to have more autonomy. And I think that would be a win for Alberta, a win for Quebec, a win for other provinces. And you don't need, the beauty of that, you don't need to reopen the Constitution or to change the Constitution. And I think they appreciate that. And this, we must know that Western alienation, it is not something that, there's no impact there. There's a huge impact in the poll over there, and the survey over there. About 35% of Albertans are ready to separate. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge anti-Ottawa sentiment in Alberta. Sure. And I told them, if you want to be independent, it must start at the provincial level. We had the PQ in government a long time ago, and that was their position, the independence. We had 2 referendums on that. So if you want to do something at your provincial level, and don't vote for the Maverick Party. The Maverick Party is an independentist, regional Western party. And I told them, your best chance, it's us, the PPC, because before being independent, you will vote at the federal level, and you need somebody who share your values. And I was very happy to see that these people that believe a little bit in the separation of Alberta, but also they like our country, but for them they're kind of being forced to be independentists because of Ottawa and the Trudeau government, and also the conservative, because nobody acknowledged that there's a unity challenge in this country. We are, and we have the policy for that. So the speech on radical decentralization that I just explained a little bit of that was very well received. And if your viewers want to read the speech, it's on our website, peoplespartyofcanada.ca, and on our YouTube channel, the People's Party of Canada official YouTube channel.
What does, under the PPC leadership, what would unification of the West look like? And speak to me about this idea of the equalization of the provinces, so it's not, favoring one over the other. What's that look like under a PPC government?
Yeah, first of all, to change the equalization formula to be less generous, we must say that, because now there's no incentive to provinces to develop their own natural resources first. And you need to change the formula. You need to be less generous, to give them an incentive. I'll give you an example. That formula exists since 1957. And Quebec is a poor province under that formula since 1957. I don't believe that Quebec is a poor province anymore. So why Quebec is a poor province? Because in the calculation for that formula, all the energy coming from oil and gas, it is part of the formula. So if you have a lot of oil and gas, you're a rich province. But all the energy coming from hydroelectricity, like Quebec, it is not part of the formula. So that's a big reason why Quebec is a poor province. So you need to change this formula. And I used to say that about maybe 5 economists in this country understand the formula. It must be a formula that is simple and that would give the right incentive. Actually, right now in Quebec, there's no incentive to develop their shale gas, because if they do that, Quebec will become richer, and they will have less equalization money coming from Canada. So there's no incentive also for New Brunswick to develop their own natural resources. So what I said to Canadians in the West, you don't need to pass it. First of all, to change the equalization formula and being less generous, you don't need to change the Constitution. You don't need to have any consultation with provinces, because it's under the jurisdiction of the federal government. You don't need to pass a legislation at the federal level. It will be after a decision from the cabinet meeting, the federal cabinet meeting. You can start the meeting at 9 o'clock. Usually the cabinet meetings are the Wednesday every week. Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, you have your cabinet meeting. You put on the agenda the new formula that would be less generous. And at 12 o'clock, it is approved by the cabinet and it is enforced. So you need to have the courage to speak about that and to explain that. And I'm doing that in French in Quebec. And so, but the Conservative Party of Canada won't do that because for them, they try to appeal to the Eastern Canada, Quebec, and also the Atlantic provinces. And they think that if they open that and speak about that, they won't have any support. I think the opposite. The more you think about that, if you like this country, if you want every province to be prosperous, you need to change that.
Now, I don't think I'm going to change your mind on this, but I'm not a big fan of first past the post. I know you're not a big fan of proportional representation, at least not in this round of elections, and maybe never. I don't know, but talk to me. Like, I am just so tired. I mean, Stephen Harper's government that you were a part of was elected with 37% of the popular vote. That's hardly a majority. Now, when it was a Green, obviously we used to complain, well, we're getting 5% of the vote. We want 5% of the seats. That's basically the way proportional representation works. So what's your resistance to that style of election? Trudeau was elected by telling us this was the last election under FTPP or FTTP. And so I want your thoughts on that. And also, how do you make a difference? Mike Schreiner has made a hell of a difference as a provincial activist before he was elected. Now he's in the House. But he was really he was effective at making connections with people before he was elected, at getting policy changed. So, and then of course I want your thoughts on what your chances are in your own riding. Like, will Max Bernier be in the next parliament?
Yeah, so about changing our system, you're right. It's not the best one. It's a good system, but it's not the best one. That's the same thing for every democracy. So that being said, because we may have to change the constitution to do that. And if you open that, all our reforms that we are promoting at the PPC are in line with the constitution. And you don't need, it's reform that are realistic politically that you can do without having this discussion with every provinces on the constitution first. Second, if you have good ideas, and we believe that we have the best ideas for this country, you must be able to convince people about that. Yes, it's a little bit more difficult with the system actually that we have, but I don't say no forever. It's not part of the platform right now. Maybe it can change, but also I think we have a lot of reform to do that are most important then that reform that will have a huge impact on our lives if you do this reform, the taxation reform, the equalization reform, the end of the Paris Accord reform, building pipelines, and a lot of reforms that we must focus on. And for me, that's not a priority. But that being said, we may change, but right now it is not. That's why it is not part of the party. So about myself, yes, I will be back in my former riding. I will run there in Beauce. It is a riding south of Quebec City, near the border of the state of Maine, and so it's a riding that is half rural, half urban. And I didn't win with 28% of the vote last time. So and we did a poll last fall in Beauce because for me as a leader of the PPC, my first priority is to be back in the House. And I look at other ridings in Northern Ontario, in Alberta. We will look in a couple of ridings with my name as a candidate. And the best chances that I have to be elected is to go back in Beauce because, I didn't win with 28% and I was at 29% when we did the poll. So 29, if you want to be elected, maybe you just have to gain 5 points and you'll be elected. And so I'll campaign there and I hope I'll be elected. I'll do my best there. And I hope also I won't be the only one. We can have some candidates that will be elected next time. But at the same time, also, I think personally that will grow our percentage of the vote from 1.6 to maybe 4 or 5%.
Oh, definitely.
And at that time, that's a big change because if you have 4%, I'll be part of the national debates after that. And I think the media will look at us a little bit more seriously. They're not right now because we don't have anybody elected in the parliament. But I strongly believe that they will speak a little bit about us at the next general campaign because for them, we are a competition to the Conservative Party of Canada. And as you know, the mainstream media are more leftist than center-right. So if we are hurting the Conservative with our policy, I think they will cover us a little bit more. And people will know at the end that we are the only real conservative, fiscal, responsible political party in Canada.
What star candidates are you looking at? I know that you've got a call out for candidates. You're in the process of nominating them. I guess, what is it, 338 now? Ridings?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have your eye on, I heard you extend a hand to Pierre the other day. Man, the guy is genius, like a great communicator. He's good on the economic issues. I think he's principled. I can't believe I'm saying that about a conservative guy, but have you got your eye on other, superstar candidates or star candidates that might help raise the profile of the PPC? And if you don't, then what type of people do you look at, like Pierre, that you said, well, that guy would be a good fit, or that woman would be a good fit with the PPC?
Yeah, I must say that, and I tweeted about that I called Pierre. I left a message in his voicemail. He didn't answer my call, but I told him, you're welcome in our party. We share the same values. Don't waste your time with that party. I said 3 years ago that this party is morally and intellectually corrupt. And you have a proof right now with your the way that the leader is treating you, the demotion that you just had. He didn't call me back, but it's okay. So I think he knows that our doors are open. So that's the most important. And we want to have, candidates that are maybe not well known nationally in Canada, but if they're well known in their writings, I think that's a big plus. People who did work in their writing and they're helping their community.
What if they're
they're known for that?
What if they're hated in their writing?
No,
for good reasons.
And people who share our values, that's the most important. So we'll see what will happen. But we have a couple of good candidates that will be back with us. And now they're a little bit more well-known because they did the first election with us in 2019. Mm-hmm. So, and I strongly believe that we'll have a nice team of people. Actually, for the selection of our candidates, it's going well. If you know people who want to be a candidate, they have until the Monday. It's open. We're doing interviews with them on social media using the Zoom social media. I'm using that to do interview with each of them. We are in the process to do that right now. And our goal, I must admit, that if we have an election this spring, it would be very hard for us to have a full slate of candidates, 338 candidates in every riding. But I don't believe that we'll have an election this spring. We do our best to be ready. But if we have an election next fall, we'll have a candidate in every riding, and every Canadian would be able to vote for the PPC.
Tell me what a country as great as Canada looks like under Maxime Bernier leadership. Just give the layman, people that are not political, that don't watch the news every day, that really care about the issues that you're passionate about. What are some of the major changes that if you had a majority government? I know that's a little bit of a dream, but hey, maybe a couple election cycles from now, it doesn't need to be. And I know you're not a fan of polls and kind of tweaking your vision to fit what everyone else is talking about and feeling supportive of. But what would Canada look like if it was governed by a PPC under Max Bernier?
Well, first of all, it will be a much freer and prosperous country. Why? Because you'll have more money in your pockets. We will change the tax system to give you more of your money, and we'll do that by also cutting spending. We won't give $1.2 billion to the CBC. We'll cut that. You won't receive, if you're a business, an entrepreneur, you won't receive any subsidies or grants from the federal government. We'll have a fair tax system. It will be a flat rate at 10%. And we can save another $5 billion there. We will put Canadians first. No more foreign aid. We'll bring back that money. We can have about $6 billion that we can save and helping Canadians first. Provinces will be more autonomous, and we won't interfere in provincial jurisdiction. We will respect the Constitution. Yes, we will radical decentralize this country. And the federal government will be in charge of its own responsibilities in the Constitution. And you'll have pipelines across this country. And we will use the Constitution because, like I said in the beginning, we are able to build pipelines in this country. It's under a federal jurisdiction. It's inter-provincial transportation, and inter-provincial transportation, it's 100% under the responsibility of the federal government. So under the section 9210 of the Constitution. So yes, we'll be able to have pipeline that would be safe and secure for the population and for the environment. Because you may remember the tragedy in Lac Mégantic that we had in Quebec. And I think it's easy to convince people that transporting oil and gas by pipelines instead of by truck or trains, it is safer for the environment and our population. And we are in 2021. We can build very secure pipelines today. So that would be different. We will have free speech. If in a university you don't respect our free speech policy, you won't receive any grant or subsidies from the federal government. We won't do any censorship on social media. Because we believe that people are free and responsible, it's going together. If you say something, you are responsible of what you're saying, but it's not the role of the government to tell you what we want to hear or not. We'll have free speech, and for us, if you insult somebody, it's not hate speech. We have a clause in the criminal code against hate speech, and we just need to follow that. We must not need more regulations on that. So people will be free to express themselves. We won't buy the media like the Trudeau government is doing by giving grants and subsidies to all the mainstream media. We believe if you're a good media, you'll be able to finance yourself with your viewers or people who like what you're saying. So it's not the role of the government to give money to media. We want the media to be independent from the government, not dependent from the government. That would be another change. And you can just go on our website and read our platforms. It's all about that. Immigration. We'll have fewer immigrants. People who will come here will be able to integrate our society, believing in our values. We'll have a stronger Canada. So that's why, I'm in politics. And I think that's why we will win. And maybe I won't be prime minister, like you said, after the next general election. But maybe after the other one. We have to be patient. We have to be out there to speak about our ideas, and that's what we are doing.
I should add also that Justin Trudeau is looking to raise immigration to over 400,000 for the next year. And meanwhile, Roxham Road is letting people in on a daily basis all day, and we talked about this last time. They come across illegally with their Gucci bags. They get picked up by border services, put in an ambulance, taken to a hotel where they're to wait for their welfare payments that equal more than my father gets on CCP. I don't want to delve into that too much. Talk to us a little bit about accountability, Max. I believe you when you say, listen, I'm not promising the moon and the stars. Therefore, I don't have to renege on that when I'm elected. I don't take polls. We don't look at public opinion. We're not doing what's popular. We're doing what we think is right. And God bless you, Max. Like, there aren't principled politicians like you that we see. I think there's a few, but not many. Even on, whether left or right, there's very few. What do we do about accountability? We've got a guy elected with a minority government that's made his bed with the NDP or the CPC, depending on whoever's going to support him at the time. But Jagmeet Singh is enabling corruption with this man. And then he sits there as opposition or whatever, chirping him. But what are your thoughts on, you say one thing, we're going to legalize, this is the last election under FPTP. We elected them. We're going to legalize marijuana, but this is the style of government. Here's our platform, elect us. Oh, well, now we're just going to do what we want. How do we make politicians more accountable? And, I don't think you're going to say, well, we just vote them out at the next election. That's a platitude that doesn't work for me. Well, how do we get accountability back in politics?
Well, first of all, by electing people that are responsible and that their integrity is there. You have a lot of career politicians and that they just want to have a job and not working for their people. I was in the private sector before for 18 years in the financial sector. I went into politics for changes. Always fighting for the same ideas. If you look at the videos that I did 10 years ago, I'm saying the same thing today. So it's our responsibility to be out there. And sometimes people are voting for a politician just because of the look of the politician and not looking at their ideas and not looking deeply in their platform. And I can understand that if you, as a citizen, buy a new car, you will look around and find and go on the market and which one is the best one for me, and you do your work. I think you must do the same thing when you go and you vote for a politician. Just do your research, and that's why I believe people are intelligent and they're responsible, and they must do that. We have the politician that we merit at the end. So I believe that these politicians like Trudeau and the establishment politician, at the next general election, people will have an opportunity to tell them, goodbye. But also at the same time, sometimes we as Canadians and people who will vote in the next election, we are voting usually against something. We want to get rid of Justin Trudeau. We'll vote for the party that will replace Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. But I'm asking people, vote for your values, vote for what you believe, and step by step the change will come. So that's important also for us. We are asking people, go and read our platform, go and see what we believe in. And I'm pretty sure that we share the same values. But yes, we have corrupt politicians, the Liberals, the Conservatives, and don't play their game. Don't play their game. And that's why I think the next election will have it will be a good opportunity for the PPC to be well known about our policies, and we'll see what will be the result. If we have 5 or 6 MPs in Ottawa, we can change the debate. And I think that's the most important. We can change the debate and having that national discussion on our platform. Now the other politicians are too afraid to speak about the real challenges that we are having in this country. So I'm confident that people at the end will do the best choice for them and for the country. And my only challenge is to have the same kind of visibility that as a leader of a party, like the other leaders, and that would be a big challenge. So we'll see what will happen.
Talk to me about this group that you've got out west, this activist group about getting our country back to work, and how's that working for you? What's it called again? I can't find anything on the news here. I should be more prepared.
The Lockdowns Caucus,
the caucus. Yeah.
So it's people. We have a member from provincial parliaments, provincial legislature that are with us, and we're about maybe 50 members right now. And you can go and see what we're doing on the website, libertycoalitioncanada.com, and the Lockdowns National Caucus. And our goal is to give some courage to elected representatives at the municipal, federal, or provincial levels to be out there and be vocal against the lockdowns. And we have the best, we have the data now after a year. We know that the virus is not killing everybody. 99% of people who had the virus, they're in life. They're living. And the only people that it's very difficult for them is the older people. But we can reopen our business. We can reopen our churches. We can, we need to have our life back. And that's the goal of that End the Lockdown Caucus. Actually, we'll do some rally this spring, beginning of April, try to rally people and pushing a little bit politicians to have the courage to end out that. If you look in the States, there's Florida, there's Texas, and other states. I've been told that 15 states are 100% open. No mandatory mask, no lockdowns, students are going to school, restaurants are open without any restrictions. So we must do the same thing here. And that's the goal of that. We are working on a rally that we want to do in early April. And I'll inform you about that, but we are working on that in Toronto or in Montreal or Calgary, so we'll decide that. But our goal is to give more courage, and the more people would be part of that caucus, the more elected representative at the municipal level, the better it would be. So I was very pleased with that initiative from Randy Hillier. He's a member of the Legislative Assembly in Ontario, myself and Derek Sloan, and now we have more people on board. So it will come, but the fastest way to have our economy open is to be out there and I'm asking people, speak with your politician at the provincial level, federal level, your people that are at your town council. Speak with them and tell them that you're fed up with that. The more we would be, the better it would be for our freedom and our cause.
Just on the way out, I'd like you to just refresh our memory on the portfolios that you held and then turn that into a stump speech, and we'll say goodbye to our audience. I'm going to keep you on, though. Talk to you offline for a bit. So, yeah, your portfolios, I was really impressed when you were talking to Free the other day that, man, you've got some real experience. You're not, you've been elected before. You've been in these portfolios. You have major responsibilities. So talk to us a little bit about the portfolios that you've held previously in previous governments.
Yeah, so I decided to try to be elected the first time in 2006 with Stephen Harper. And at that time, before that, I was, like I said, working in the private sector. I was a VP of an insurance corporation based in Edinburgh, in Scotland. I was also a VP for a bank, a national bank in Quebec. So I was working the financial sector before. And so for me, that was a good time to be in politics and fight for what I believe in. So as soon as I was elected, I was the industry minister, and we did a big deregulation and in the telecom industry. The price of your cell phone went down, and it's still very competitive in this country. So, and after that, I've been moved to foreign affairs. I was a foreign affairs minister for at least a year or something like that. And after that, I resigned. I was back in cabinet a couple of years later as a minister for small business and tourism. And after that, Minister of State for Agriculture. So I had a couple of portfolio with the upper government. And yes, I think I have a good experience in politics and in managing portfolio, managing department. And so I resigned, as you know, but first of all, I ran for the leadership of the Conservative Party of Canada. And in 2017, I didn't win with 49% of the vote. And that's why we created the PPC, because the consultation for the best platform, the best ideas for the country was the consultation that I did, consultation in brackets, that I did when I was running to be the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. And with 49% of support, I said, these ideas are very popular. I tried to convince the establishment of the Conservative Party and Andrew Scheer to take some of our ideas. Didn't take any, and Andrew Scheer said publicly that Bernier, what he's doing that for himself. He does not represent the party, and they told me that they won't take any of my ideas at the next campaign, and actually they did it. So that's why I resigned, and I said I don't want to waste my time, and we created the PPC based on that platform. It's too important for the future of this country. And I think after a year, we had a good, the first year, we had a good success, because if you compare that, and you know that, you were with the Green Party a long time ago, it took 20 years and 6 elections to have more than 1.6% of the vote. And we did that in our first election. So now we will grow. And I'm pretty optimistic and realistic at the same time that our ideas will go through and people will be able to listen to our ideas during the next campaign and know that in comparison, we're doing politics differently. And that's not a slogan, that's the reality. And I think doing politics based on principle, it's new in this country, but the more people will know us, the better it will be.
You got that right. Thank you very much. Paul Layton says, I support conservatives who stand with Maxime Bernier in the comments on the Facebook page. We're going to say goodbye to our audience right now. I'm going to keep you on the line just for a couple minutes. Maxime Bernier is my guest, and here, let's just go here so you can see his there he is. Okay. There's the PPC. That's how you get him, the People's Party of Canada. This is how you get him on Twitter, at Maxime Bernier, sorry. And then here's his Facebook page. So you guys are out, and I'm going to keep Max on. Peace.